It's the E-commerce Minute, your daily dose of e-commerce, tech, and retail news with your hosts Bart Mraz and John Suter. The E-commerce Minute is a production of Sumo Heavy, a digital commerce consulting firm in Brooklyn, New York, and Philadelphia. Find us on the web at sumoheavy.com. It's E-commerce Minute for February 28th, 2018.
In today's episode, Market and Macy's pop-up shops.
Macy's is launching a series of pop-up shops aimed to boost exposure of brands looking to break into traditional brick-and-mortar retail. The concept allows makers to boost their exposure and connect with a broader customer base. The concept, named Market at Macy's, is launching in 10 cities, including the New York Herald Square flagship and Boston, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Fort Lauderdale, San Antonio, Seattle, San Francisco, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles, according to Macy's. The concept will eventually be in 49 of the 50 U.S. major markets. Unlike a traditional concession operation, Macy's staff will operate the shops. Makers need to pay an upfront fee, but keep 100% of the profits. There is no long-term commitment, but a 1-month minimum is required. The concept is similar to other pop-up concepts like Story and Bulletin. Each feature curated experiences featuring unique brands and merchandise. Pop-up shops are natural for big box retailers looking to experiment with new brands and product lines. And with increased pressure from online retailers, brick-and-mortar merchants need to create new and compelling reasons to get foot traffic to their stores.
My biggest question is why they haven't not done this yet.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you have this much space, and I know that, like, at Macy's or those big stores, like, you know, that floor space is expensive. Like, why not?
That is exactly the point I was going to bring up, is that you can't just have a traditional department store anymore where it's like ladies lingerie, floor number 3. I think the store space needs to be fluid now, and I think you need to do 2 things. You need to keep exciting and delighting the customer, which is merchandising 101, and maybe once in a while surprising the customer where they go in the same entrance, because I know this is what I do. I go into the same entrance of Nordstrom's every time I go there, and I don't see I don't see other parts of the store because I'm going into this one spot. Why not switch things around? They're paying for the real estate anyway. What could it hurt?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's one of those. It's just, you know, the point that, you know, something like Story or Bulletin came out, and, you know, these guys are like, something new.
We should do a story. We should do a story on Story, a story on Bulletin, a story on Story. I like that concept because they have the space and they continually just rotate in and out. And Bulletin is more of a high-end curated experience, but still they have that space, and each time the customer comes in there's something different.
Mm-hmm. And every store is different. I think they have 4 or 5 stores now. They curate all that stuff, and it's great. I think, you know, we've talked about Bulletin before. I happen to know him. And they're a great company.
Yeah. So I think this is a trend because we talked about Kohl's. They had the same problem. Well, it's not Macy's isn't trying to solve this problem. Macy's is just trying to mix it up. But Kohl's had the problem of their footprint was too big. What do we do with this extra space? And now they're joining up with grocery. They're going to put, a grocery vendor in there. And the rumor is Whole Foods, but we don't know that for sure yet. JCPenney has Sephora pop-up shops. Nordstrom does holiday theme shops. So I think this is more the future of what retail is going to look like. And as I said, it's surprise and delight, and keep mixing it up.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, pop-ups are a $50 billion a year business now. Think about that. If you want to learn more about the retail experience and what's coming in the future for retail, we've published a white paper, which you can find. We'll put a link in show notes. We talk about how the retail industry has been disrupted by the internet. We take a look at different market segments, and one of those we focus on pop-up shops. So if you'd like to get a view of that, that's at newrulesofretail.info, or if you're feeling lazy, just go to ecommerceminute.co and put it in the show notes for today's show. Do you have anything else to add, Bart?
The show. No, I don't.
The show. Okay, that's your e-commerce minute for today. We'll see you on the internet tomorrow. That's it for today's show. If you like the show, do us a favor and subscribe, or leave us a review on iTunes. And don't forget, you can now listen to the e-commerce minute on your Amazon device. Just add e-commerce minute to your flash briefing. And finally, if you have a comment or suggestion, or just want to say hi, find us on social media at Sumo Heavy.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.